February 15th meeting of the Lebanon County Commissioners. I'd like to call the meeting to order. And if we would you please join me in a moment of silence? Thank you. Join me in the pledge to the flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, beginning with public comment, we have Mr. Weisnick from the Gap, back at the Gap.
Good morning, Commissioners and all. Dave Weisnick, 40 Indian Gap, and giving the Back to the Gap report. As of the 6th of February, we've had over 40,000 troops that have trained at the Gap. Projections for this year are once again high, so that'll get us to our position of being one of the busiest National Guard training installations in the United States. In fact, coming up, we've got about over 3,679 troops that are going to train at the Gap. And the last week of February, we're going to have over 4,000. So for this time of the year, that's pretty significant use that we have going on. Finished up with our Battle of the Bulge. I found out, historical reenactment, I found out this is the 30th year that they have done that Gap. So the Guard has run Fort Indian Gap for just about 20 years, so I think that's a pretty significant event. Certainly enjoy that time of the year every year. Pending any of you all's questions, that's all I really have, just busy. Things are rolling on. Our troops and airmen are out defending their Commonwealth of country and training hard.
Thank you.
Questions?
Thanks, David. I have nothing.
Thank you again for coming in. We appreciate your faithfulness to the county.
Thank you, sir. And ma'am.
All right, moving on, do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting?
Second?
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Is there any questions, additions, deletions to the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor of accepting the minutes indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes are approved. Madam Treasurer.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, we had receipts on February the 13th and 14th of $818,664.69. That brings us to a total cash of $1,733,062.04. We had expenditures of $1,081,427.98. And the undistributed tax claim is $170,771.56. So that leaves us a balance of $480,862.50. I did not have to use any money this week. We had enough to cover payroll.
I'll move to accept the treasurer's report.
I'll second it. I do have a question.
Sure.
What is the balance in our, I call it Cedar Haven Fund, I'm not quite sure what.
Unassigned funds.
Unassigned.
Yeah,
Excuse me.
it was on their last page of your report. There would be $5,670.84 or $84.
That's all we have.
$5,670,000.
Oh, 5 million.
Scared me there for a minute.
I'm sorry.
And
Yeah, it's $5 million. We have used, $2 million as a loan from our reserve for payments over the last couple of weeks. So that was the $7 million, and with that $2 million, we have that $5 million back.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? We have a,
Gordon.
oh, Gordy, I'm sorry.
Will that 2 million be returned?
Yes, as soon as our tax money starts coming in, we pay ourselves back, put the money back in that reserve account.
So we once again be up over 7.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'd
we
like
do
to try
that.
to keep it at the
You
same.
recall, Gordy, we used to borrow money.
Tax anticipation.
I wouldn't be surprised there's another drawdown or two yet before
Yeah,
the funds
yeah,
too,
yeah.
so it may end up, typically, we're in the 3.5 to 4 million that we need in the first 3 or 4 months, and then that's the first thing we replenish once the tax.
Yeah, I think we used to, we actually approved up to 4 million, I think, each year, so. Yeah. All right, I have a motion and a second to approve the treasurer's report. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Treasurer's report is accepted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah.
I'll go get a pen. I'll get this.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Are you winging it today, or?
I am. I'm Michelle Leon.
Okay. Well, you can handle it.
Michelle Legis, Director of Human Resources.
I don't know if
Moving
it's
on.
turned on.
Is it?
I don't know. Might want to check. Oh, okay. Not really here.
Personnel transactions under resignations and terminations. Barbara Risser, DJ Clerk, retirement effective April 21st. Cheyenne Bojanek, full-time correctional officer, resignation effective February 3rd. Donna Lutz, recorder of deeds, retirement effective April 5th. Chelsea Johnson, full-time developmental assistant, resignation effective February 12th. Jordan Bryan, casual call developmental assistant, removal effective February 15th. Ashley Lopez, casual call developmental assistant, removal effective February 15th. Brenda Pascal, casual call developmental assistant, removal effective February 15th. And Cindy Grant, second deputy, termination effective February 14th.
Also move with special thanks for Donna Lutz for her 20 years of service.
Second?
All right, I have a motion and a second to accept the resignations and terminations as read. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? They're accepted.
Under other transactions, transfers, change of status transfers and promotions, I have two motions. The first, to approve the 2018 Civil Service Compensation Plan, which pertains to Children and Youth Services, MHIDEI, Area Agency on Aging, and the Commission on Drug and Alcohol Abuse funding for the 2018-2019 fiscal year.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the information as presented. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered.
The second motion is to approve entering into a collective bargaining agreement between the Lebanon County Detectives Association and the County of Lebanon for the term January 1, 2018 through December 31st, 2022, and authorizing the signing of this agreement. Highlights of the collective bargaining agreement are a 5-year term, wage increases at 3% per year, increases to the annual health insurance deductibles and co-payments, changes to on-call wages, increased reimbursement for sick leave buyback, changes to the vacation policy, and the removal of several articles where the current non-union employee handbook policies will now apply.
So moved.
Second?
All right, I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion appropriate to the motion? All right, the motion is to accept the contract for the detective unit. All those in favor of accepting the agreement? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered.
Thank you, and before we get
Here he
started.
is.
Gordy has a question.
No, I just would like to, could I possibly get the whatever you can give me as far as the details of the contract?
So are the increases and so on.
Yeah, you can get that on paper, I don't need to describe it.
Okay. I'm going to be removing the Anna Cardona change of status, so I'm gonna skip that when we get there, okay?
Okay.
So Brian Remper, promotion from caseworker 2 at Children and Youth to child abuse investigator at Children and Youth at the rate of $1,376.51 biweekly, effective February 26th. Marjorie Ulrich, promotion from caseworker 2 in Children and Youth to child abuse investigator at Children and Youth at the rate of $1,432.12 biweekly, effective February 26th. Kathy Steiner, change of status from administrative assistant in the courts to jury administrator in the courts. No change in her rate, effective February 26th. Haley Rhodes, change of status from part-time developmental assistant at Renova to casual call developmental assistant. No change in her rate, effective February 18th.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the changes of status as presented. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered.
Moving on to other transactions, the planning department would like to hire Gregory as a zoning officer at the rate of $1,116.48 biweekly effective February 20th. The prison would like to hire Brenda Gingrich as a general clerk C at the rate of $723.43 biweekly effective February 26th. The prison would like to hire Christopher Lynn as a casual part-time correctional officer trainee at the rate of $13 per hour effective February 26th. The prison would like to hire the following full-time correctional officer trainees at the rate of $13 per hour effective February 6th. Eva Sachet, Stephen Galbraith, Brett Noel Emick, and Jordan Rich. Renova would like to hire Diane Luciati as a full-time LPN second shift at the rate of $20 per hour effective February 26th.
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion and a second to approve those hirings. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? They're approved.
Moving on to salary board, motion to approve all the transactions previously read plus the following. Pete Winfrey, salary increase, building code administrator 2 in the planning department at the rate of $1,636.32 biweekly effective February 25th.
So moved. Second?
All right, I have a motion and a second to approve those salary board changes. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered.
Moving on to conference seminar requests. Under mandated, Marjorie Ulrich and Mark Hare from Children and Youth would like to attend the overview of child sexual abuse in Mechanicsburg, March 5th and 6th. Mileage, meals, and tools reimbursement 12 credits mandated by DHS. Anna Marquez from Children and Youth would like to attend the Providing Feedback to Supportive Caseworkers in Mechanicsburg, March 29th. Mileage reimbursement 3 credits mandated by DHS. Angelica Parisi and Jessica McTavish from Children and Youth would like to attend the methamphetamine training in Mechanicsburg, March 16th. Mileage, meals, tools reimbursement 6 credits mandated by DHS. Brittany Gardner, Alexandria Razan, Marjorie Ulrich, Morgan McMahon, Taylor Steinsnyder, and Stephanie Swisher would all like to attend the Caseworker Safety and Responsiveness and Child Welfare Practice, all are from Children and Youth, at Fort Indian Town Gap, March 29th. Some will be attending in the AM and some in the PM. Mileage reimbursement, 3 credits mandated by DHS. Daniel Gray and Brandy Cool from MHIDEI would like to attend the Resources to Support Families of Infants and Toddlers with Hearing Differences in Harrisburg, February 28th. Mileage reimbursement mandated by OCDEL. Jody Weber from MHIDEI would like to attend the MANT Training Refresher Course in Warnersville, April 12th and 19th. Mileage and meals reimbursement mandated by the Warnersville State Hospital. Sally Berry and Audrey Rakow from Salvation Services would like to attend the PA Chiefs Association General Meeting in State College, March 22nd and 23rd. Lodging and meals reimbursement 7 credits mandated by PDPP. And Dom Policio, this is a replacement for myself and Leanne, who were to be at a training today for our wellness committee, is attending the CBC 2018 Live Healthy Workshop in Enola, February 15th. Mileage and meal reimbursement, if necessary, mandated by Capital Blue Cross.
So moved.
Second?
All right, I have a motion and a second to approve the mandated conference attendance as presented. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered.
Moving on to requested, John Fitzke and Sung Kim from the Planning Department would like to attend the 2018 Transportation Infrastructure Forum in Reading, February 13th, $100 total registration fee, mileage, and parking reimbursement.
Also move.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for the folks from planning to attend that requested conference. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered.
And Jamie Wolgamuth from the Commissioner's Office would like to attend the AGRIP Governance and Leadership Conference for the Association of Governmental Risk Pool in San Diego, California, March 4th through the 7th. No cost to the county.
A little sidebar to try to get 2 votes for that, or?
Also moved.
Second?
All right, I have a motion and a second to send Jamie out of town. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered.
Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Stephanie?
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Martha. Good morning, Stephanie.
We have Martha Gregory with me, she's our 4-H educator in Lebanon.
State County.
Yes. So we just wanted to share with you that on March 1st.
Introduce yourself.
I'm sorry, Stephanie Shirk with Penn State Extension. I wanted to share with you that on March 1st, Penn State Extension will be holding our annual meeting and social event to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Extension. With that celebration, we will also be honoring our Master Gardener volunteers and our 4-H leaders. And we have Secretary Redding, Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture Secretary Redding, on the schedule to join us. He's confirmed that he will be there as well. So we invite you to join us for the evening. It starts at 6 o'clock at the Ag Expo Center. And we thank you for all your support through all the years.
Thank you.
Hope to be there.
Great.
Absolutely.
Great.
Lord willing, right?
Yes.
We did have a proclamation back in November.
We did, that you shared the proclamation for us to be honored at the Farm City banquet, so we'll bring that proclamation with us again and share that news at the banquet on March 1st.
Okay, very good.
Any other questions?
Martha, any other highlights up?
Well, this is an opportunity for us to recognize and say thank you to all the volunteers that assist us in programming. And volunteers are really a key component of our program in expanding opportunities to the community and the county. And so we welcome your involvement to also say thank you and recognize the commitment that we have from others in the community to support our work. And we'll be recognizing in significance, Richard Kreider has achieved 45 years of service as a 4-H volunteer with the Lebanon County 4-H Livestock Club. And while others have 5, 10, 15 other years are also of significance, 45 years out of 100 is something we really want to say thank you and note as well.
And just honoring Richard is a reason enough to attend.
Correct.
In my book, at least.
Martha, how many volunteers roughly?
We have 120 volunteers in the 4-H program, and then we also have our Master Gardener program, which has volunteers in the horticulture area as well.
Do you have any idea how many Master Gardener volunteers?
I think we have about 60, 65. My program area is 4-H and Youth Development, and Sinclair Adams is our horticulture educator, so he would know that number off the top of his head.
Okay.
A lot of good things going on out there, and we appreciate the relationship with Penn State. And as much as we do with the GAP, I mean, we have these great partners in Lebanon County, and we really try to maximize these relationships, so thank you.
Thank you. Good question.
Yeah.
Has anything ever finalized with a memorial garden for Sue Clarsh?
The Memorial Garden, I think, the Ginger Pryor Garden.
Ginger
is-
Pryor, yeah, I'm sorry, I got the wrong
Is
one.
known as the Ginger Pryor Garden. I know they have made significant improvements and changes in that area. Again, it's not my program area, and I can't comment specifically on
Okay.
the changes that have
I
been
just
made.
didn't remember anything like a dedication or, so I just was wondering.
I think it's still been small steps to get that project underway.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for checking though.
Uh-huh.
Any other questions for the ladies from the extension?
No, thank you very much.
Thank
All right,
you.
thank you.
I'll just see you
And
March
your
1st.
presentation, if you don't mind.
Yes.
Everybody got an email, right? We're running ahead of schedule.
That's not
Told you
bad.
I can handle it.
Yeah, wasn't predicted, but I can go ahead and do the things I was gonna do at the end if you'd like. Go ahead, I did see if Mike Anderson will be over a little bit early too, I'll squeeze him in there. We've got a few minutes. Let's see, I've got, from the assessment office, I've got veterans real estate tax exemptions to present for your approval. The first being for Eric Druck of King Street, Jonestown, who has met all the requirements for the exemption, as well as Kenneth M. Sweeney of Riegert Lane, Annville. Approval on those two.
Do I have a motion?
Also move.
Second?
I have a motion and a second to accept the two disabled veterans for real estate tax exemption. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered, Jamie.
Okay, then have two proclamations here. The first one being for the Swatara Watershed Association, who's hosting their 30th annual Swatara Sojourn on May 5th and 6th, 2018, and this is in recognition of that, of those efforts in supporting the Sojourn.
I'll abstain on
Proclamation. I'll maybe
Make a motion. Very good. Well, I'll second. All those in favor of the proclamation for the Swatara Sojourn indicate by saying aye. Aye. Abstention? One abstention.
Okay. And second proclamation I have, I think I'll just defer to Mr. Phillips for a moment, since it's sort of helped to initiate this, in recognition of Frank Reich Jr.,
Yes.
who's elected, maybe as everyone knows.
Thank you. Dana Lake, who is one of those 4-H volunteers and very active in the poultry area and so on, and spends the whole week out at the fair as a volunteer, introducing the big acts and the bands and so on, texted me right after the Eagles won and asked if we could recognize Frank Reich with a proclamation as a favorite son of Lebanon County and so on, and we talked about it internally here and decided that was a good idea. So I've been communicating with Frank's wife, who's in Florida, and I just heard from her this morning, timing is everything, giving us the blessing on it and saying how grateful Frank is. It's an honor, and they're very appreciative as a family for the county to be adopting this proclamation in recognition of his work, and as you'll hear, even following in his dad's footsteps, and declaring a day in their honor. And when they're coming back to Lebanon County, he's now in Indianapolis, because that was something that came up after the victory. They will receive this in person, so we'll have a time that maybe, hopefully during the fair or something, we could have another presentation. So,
Do we want to act on it now?
Yes.
Is he gonna read it, or?
Yeah.
I'd like to.
Yep. All right. Whereas Frank Michael Reich Jr., a professional in the field of athletics, was born December 4th, 1961 in Freeport, New York. And whereas Frank attended Cedar Crest High School in Lebanon, Pennsylvania, where he played baseball, football, and basketball. Afterward, he was accepted and attended the University of Maryland in College Park, Maryland. And whereas following his academic studies, Frank was drafted by the Buffalo Bills in the 3rd round of the 1985 NFL Draft. He also played football for the Carolina Panthers, New York Jets, and Detroit Lions. And whereas after his career playing football, Frank served on the coaching staff of the Indianapolis Colts, Arizona Cardinals, San Diego Chargers, and as offensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles, Super Bowl 52 champions. Frank has been named head coach of the Indianapolis Colts in the National Football League. And whereas, in our opinion, Frank Jr. truly followed in his father's footsteps, who himself played football for Penn State University and was drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles in the 1956 NFL Draft. And whereas the Lebanon County community is proud to see Frank, a graduate of Cedar Crest High School, obtain this high level of success through determination, hard work, talent, and skill. Now therefore, we, the County Commissioners of Lebanon County, on behalf of all our residents, unite with his family and friends to express our congratulations to Frank Reich Jr. for his part in the Super Bowl 52 victory and wish him future success. Further, we hereby proclaim Sunday, February 18, 2018 as Frank Reich Jr. Day in the County of Lebanon.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt that proclamation honoring Mr. Reich. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered.
I have one comment. I would a special thanks to Kathy for stepping up as she did with short notice to pull this off, to get it together in such a timely fashion. I offered her 2 weeks from now, but she said if I could squeeze it in, I will, and I thank you for doing that.
You offered her 2 weeks off, you said.
Yeah, 2 weeks off. So we won't see her for 2 weeks. Is that in the minutes?
Okay.
All right.
What's next?
So with the little bit of a gap we have, I asked Mike if he could come over a little bit early. He has 2 items for you that we're going to be later on the agenda, but since we have time, the first One is a commissioner action because it's relating to the county budget, not to the conduct of elections, and that's the certification of maintenance of effort. And then the second one is an election board. So we'll act as commissioners first, then.
Okay, Michael?
Good morning, Michael Anderson, voter registration. As we were talking about, my first order of business is asking for the certification of Lebanon County's maintenance of effort, which has to do with our HAVA grant money that we had received. Basically, what it requires us is that we do spend a certain amount of money on the elections department, which I've outlined in the certification and have provided all the backup that we have met that requirement of maintenance of effort. And so I do ask that that be signed not only by at least two of the commissioners, but also by the county treasurer. And then Jamie, you also signed it as well. And I've given Jamie the original for those signatures.
All right, do I have a motion to approve the HAVA grant certification?
I will move to approve.
All right.
I'll second, and I'd just like to add that I don't know if you've ever shared the total amount. It's almost $400,000 to conduct elections in Lebanon County. That amount is significant, and I think the public should be aware what it does cost to run an election.
Okay, any other comments? All those in favor of approving certification of the HAVA grant indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? So ordered. And now I will open the election board for the next order of business. Go ahead, Michael.
Okay, the next item would be requesting permission to publish the notice of the general primary election. By law, our election code, we are required to publish that in 2 local newspapers. Once again, I'm asking for that to be in the Sun out of Humboldt,town and the Lebanon Daily News. The interesting part about this notice is, of course, we are up in the air as far as our congressional districts. We have been instructed by the Department of State to continue to go as normal. Unfortunately, what that means is we really don't know officially what our congressional districts will be. So what I did for the notice right now is I listed what we were, which is the 15th and the 6th. Not knowing if that will be what we'll fall back to, or if we will have a new map in time. But just with the note saying that obviously with the Supreme Court decision, at the time of this submission, this is what we have. Now, I did get the deadlines for both the Sun and the Lebanon Daily News, the last possible time I can change that wording. If we do get some type of final word from the Department of State, what our map will be and what district we'll be in. But those are pretty tight. Basically, for the Sun, that's going to be Monday at 10. So unless we get something here in the next day or so, we're going to probably have to go with the notice as I have written it. The Lebanon Daily News is a little bit, it's the 22nd at noon. So, as if we do receive something, we can obviously make that small change. But I can tell you that at this point where we stand is that today is the last day for the Governor and General Assembly to give the Supreme Court a new map.
I'm sure they'll work together and work it out.
Nightmare, yeah. They'll fix it. Count on them to fix it.
Otherwise, the Supreme Court has said they will issue a map, which
And then
that will be an issue.
The legislature said that they would challenge them because they're usurping their authority.
Correct.
So,
But that has been done before, right?
That's, I'm not sure, but I think that, well, I didn't but we're told that we would have a map by the 19th of February, so that the congressional, the deadlines that have been given as far as circulating petitions and things like that could go on as they have done, which is, have those dates here if you want those, 27th of February for, this is congressional only. And then from the 27th of February to the 20th of March. It's actually just pushed back 2 weeks from what all of the other things are.
Well, our order of business today is to authorize Michael to advertise the election, so do I have a motion to do that?
I make a motion to advertise in the Lebanon Daily News and the Hummelstown Sun for the upcoming election.
Second motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve that advertising. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Yes.
I do have a question, not about this specific matter. Governor Wolf yesterday did not rule out the possibility of delaying the May 15th primary. Number one, have you heard that? And secondly, what does that do to your efforts if that indeed does happen?
I have not heard that, and I would be opposed to that, obviously, because for many reasons, obviously. The biggest being is the coordination of running an election. Obviously, right now, we have a date, we have recruitment of poll workers that have been given a date, we have training date set. It's just not as simple as just
And
saying.
the expense is huge.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, we don't know if the polling locations would be open on those days, so, you know, I would encourage everybody to contact their representatives to get this done, and whatever that would be. But, you know, I hope it doesn't go down that road. That would be the worst case scenario, I believe, for all counties in the state if it does get pushed back, just because of logistics. Does that mean we can't do it? No, it doesn't mean we can't do it. We will do what we have to do and what we're told to do, but it does become an issue of trying to logistically figure all of those different things out.
I'm not sure what his comment was exactly, but moving the entire election back would not be quite as expensive as a special election, just for, that would almost double the cost to have a separate election. So I'm not really sure what he's.
And the, you know, turnout for those special
Yeah.
elections is very low, so.
His
200,000 for an election, their salaries will already be paid, but it's overtime, Debbie, so it might be more.
His comment was related to a reporter's question. I wasn't there, I just heard his response that he had not ruled that out. I guess it goes even further is that I'm not sure that the state lawmakers are gonna be able to do anything about it at this point because they're looking at a 5 o'clock deadline today. And yeah, the governor has already turned thumbs down on the Republican plan, and I don't foresee the House and Senate leadership coming up with anything different. And the Senate Majority Leader, Mr. Corman, has made it quite clear that they intend on pressing this probably to the U.S. Supreme Court again. So how late can you go?
Good question. I don't know. I mean, obviously, if they change the date, that will change all of our deadlines as well. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I'm hoping that something comes out of today that is beneficial for not only all of the different election offices throughout the counties, but for the voters themselves.
Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn the Board of Elections?
Actually, may I just make one point, just because I want to make sure I have the authority to do this. If I do get something that changes what our congressional district is the board okay with me submitting a change to that notice that I can update that information as opposed to what I submitted to you for approval today?
As long as we're totally informed in writing, I'm good with it.
Absolutely.
Would you have to rerun the Sun? I mean, the deadline sounds pretty generous for that daily news.
Basically, the way they left it to us is that once we run it, then we've met our obligation, we wouldn't have to run it again. What we will do, though, is we will post the correct, anything, I don't want to say correct, but we will post what the final will be on our website, and then also try to get that out as much as possible.
Very good.
Okay? Thank you.
All right, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion and second to adjourn the Board of Elections. We are adjourned. Thank you. We'll reopen the Board of Commissioners. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
gallery.
We have a few guests.
All right, welcome to the Lebanon County Board of Commissioners meeting, and when Mike's ready, we can get everyone introduced, or Brett, are you going to take care of that?
I'll do the introductions, I guess.
Okay.
So thank you for allowing us to stop in and give you an update on the pension. We have a couple guests with us today. We want to introduce, first of all, Sonia Gross back here, in the red as a new addition to our team here at Stifel. So we'll be seeing her name a little bit more so. She joined us from MT Bank with 25 years of banking experience. So she's a good experience and brought a lot to our team already. So I want to welcome her. And then we have Chris O'Keefe, who's the lead portfolio manager with Sovereign Asset Management. He's been here before several times, I believe.
I think this is my third visit.
So he's here. And then Managing Director Brad Baker, he's been here as well before from Sovereign too. So we want to kind of come in and give an update a little bit with some of the volatility we've been having, and Chris will speak to that in a few minutes. But we wanted to give you an update on the pension itself. So if you want to take your booklet there, first of all, and just open up to page 1 and illustrate too far from what we normally do with this. And on the left top corner there, that bar chart that's up there just has the performance listed underneath it. And this is year to date through the end of 2017, so year ending December 31st, 2017. For the fourth quarter of 2017, you can see the performance across there was 4.12%, ending the year. The year-to-date number, so more or less a 12-month number, year 2017 was 11.03%. Of course, the 1 year is the same number there listed. 3-year number is 5.42, and then going back to the inception, which goes back about 15 years, I believe, is 6.09%.
Look at that year did to the inception number. Wow.
So it's a very favorable year, and I'm sure Chris will comment on that here in a few minutes. Over in the second area over on the right-hand side with the line chart there, quarter to date, again, this is beginning October 1st of last year, so the balance was $121,893,000 beginning. With withdrawals, between deposits and withdrawals, it was 1.8 million of withdrawals. Appreciation or growth in the portfolio was 5 million. And then again, ending the year-end value as of 12/31 was $125,018,262. And then the 1-year numbers right beside that there, you can see, again, beginning the year at 115 million. That withdrawal number, Mike and I had mentioned that back in March, that some of the withdrawals were not reported or were not referenced in this report. The withdrawal number there is showing as $3,079,000. The actual number there is 5.36 million is what it is. And that was for a year-to-date number. Bob, would you agree with that?
Why weren't they all listed again?
Well, back in March, it came to our attention that one of the accounts that we actually send the distributions out of was not being brought into this report, and so that's why it wasn't referenced. Beginning, actually, our next quarterly meeting, that will be accurate then going forward.
So then really, the ending balance is less than the beginning balance?
No, the ending balance is correct.
Okay.
That is accurate. Through through that same time frame then, for last year, for 2017, it shows the appreciation amount of $12,637,377, and then again, the ending balance of $125 million. Commissioner Lutz, does that answer your question at all? Or?
I'll ask you later.
Okay.
I don't want to tie you up now. It doesn't quite make sense to me, so I'll follow up later.
Each of the rows are separate calculations, so
They are.
so that they don't accumulate to the bottom line there, that bottom number
That
is separate.
explains it, thank you.
Bottom left-hand side is just our allocation. Again, we always like to point out the equity and fixed income. The equity is listed as 64%. If we back out our REIT portfolio, that real estate investment trust, we always like to mention that. If you back that out, your equity exposure right now is at the end of the year is 58.62%. Your real estate investment trust forward unit plan was 5.84%. Fixed income of 29.33, and cash balance at that time was 6.21 at the end of the year.
Really high the cash rate.
So last year, there are certain managers, a couple of our managers that we utilize and have used for a number of years will hold cash balances. I'll use Washington Crossing as an example. Confluence is another one. Last year, throughout the year, we're at times sitting on about 15% in cash. And you might say, why are you sitting on cash in a year like that? But they are a strict value manager, and per their prospectus, they're allowed to hold some cash if they don't feel like there's opportunity out there. So at times, the cash balances will be a little bit higher. So, other questions on that at all? Just flip back to page 2, just that you're on your own there if you'd like to. Just look, that's just the allocation for each of the different managers, again, at the end of the year. I'll mention one more thing, I guess, just with it. Actually, as Mike's going to mention, kind of give some updated numbers. Everybody knows what's kind of taken place here in the last 2 weeks here in the markets. The markets have been down some with interest rates and so on. And I don't want to take anything away from Chris. You will speak much better than I will to it. But one of the managers that we have, I said, is our REIT manager in here. And we had a conversation with them here in this past week or so, just a little bit about that. And if you look through the accounts, they are the ones that have struggled the most in the last 2 weeks. We're not concerned about that at this time, but they've seen certainly a step back compared to the other different managers that we use, and again, feel comfortable with where they're at this point. I just wanted to mention that it's just all that. And Mike has more up-to-date numbers from there.
Yeah, so year to date, give you a little bit of perspective on this. At the end of January, the fund had a balance of $127 million. We're up 2.5% at the end of January. Through yesterday, we actually stand at $122,626,000. So we're down about 1%. We've gotten back, some of that here the last 4 or 5 days. Now the market is up today, but I think Chris will speak to what kind of has happened in the last 2 weeks. We're not panicked. We do think this is more of a typical correction or a pullback. The fundamentals of the economy are still pretty strong, and so we're not panicking. We think this is a time to make a quick rush to judgment. So I think things are on the right track. But Chris will elaborate a little bit more on that. Our allocations really have stayed in line. We're according to our investment policy. The stocks right now we're at 60%, which is the high point of our target. Our range that we can be in. Fixed income is at the low point at 30%. We're at 35%, which is kind of our target. And cash is at 5% as well. So we're all within the range of the investment policy that the board has approved. Any questions in general about that? The other thing I did want to quickly address, I dropped off a copy of the investment policy with Jamie, which I think he had a chance to distribute. And every year at this meeting, this first meeting, it's our annual review meeting essentially. We bring this back to the pension board to make sure that, the pension board itself is so comfortable with the existing policy, or if we need to update it or make any changes. So that was a purpose that we got that over to you earlier to see.
It's up to you. I don't think, as far as I know, is the allocations that are in there, you're not recommending any changes to those allocations, right?
Correct. The only one recommendation or a suggestion or thought is, we've been looking at maybe suggesting a global equity manager. And I know in the past, the pension board's feeling was they wanted to stay here in the U.S. We've had some changes since that was discussed on the pension board, and we just thought it was our responsibility to bring that up. The global economy is doing much better, and there perhaps could be some opportunity to add some growth to the pension. Not only growth, but I think more importantly, diversification and a little bit some risk management as well, by diversifying a little bit more. So it's just something I think, should be considered anyway. If we were going, if the pension board would be open to that, we'd have to maybe adjust the allocations here a little bit to include kind of global equities in there. And our recommendation would probably be not to exceed 5% of the portfolio, just to kind of get our feet wet, so to speak, because we have not had it in the pension plan.
I personally, if I may, believe in supporting American jobs, and that is one of the reasons I like what it says about a preponderance of investments in United States Treasury, federal agencies, and U.S. government guaranteed obligations. We did bend because we realized there are foreign companies doing business in the United States. A practical example is Bayer, and they are a phenomenal employer and significant in our community. I'm okay with that, but the world is so unstable and we have no say in what goes on in the world, and I'm really not looking to expand into a global market, my personal observation.
And certainly I understand that, that's kind of been some of the thought process behind it.
Yeah.
We, if, again, I'm not saying to do this, but if we did, we would be suggesting a global equity manager, okay? And that's different than an international manager. An international manager would have to definitely invest with foreign companies. A global equity manager would have the ability to invest in U.S. companies if they felt like that's the best place to be. So it wouldn't absolutely be that 5%, wouldn't absolutely be 100% in foreign companies. Just to let you know the difference there between international and global managers.
So what you're suggesting is a grouping of different companies on the global market.
How strongly are you recommending it? Is this something you really think we should do, or are you just?
Well, frankly, I'm just bringing it up. I know how the pension board in the past, how they felt about, what John was expressing, but it is something that we do use in other plans.
I'm not opposed to it at this point. I think it's just another piece. I think the fact that you explained it, that they're not going to be strictly 100% international, they can do their money in U.S. companies. I think that makes it, global includes the U.S., so I think we're not strictly international. And the fact that we have so many companies here now, but just in London County, that are based in other countries, so.
Would it be unfair or overburdensome to ask you to put together a proposal? I think that way, rather than looking at something that we don't have defined, if you could define something more clearly, we might consider it.
Yeah, we weren't looking to do anything today anyway, so maybe our next turnaround here, we'll put some more information in your hands and
That's good.
With that said, I think I would like, if it's all right, if you're okay with the investment policy, if everybody's amenable to that, just get signatures on that, Jamie, just for the year.
I do have one other question.
Okay.
In reviewing this, I know I had asked for this before, but under safekeeping, it says that the custodian shall produce statements at least quarterly, which you do, but listing the name and value of all assets held, and I don't think that's in here.
It's not in here. We do send out monthly statements. I'm not sure who gets those here. Who does? Amy.
We have.
Yeah.
Well, maybe if they're electronic, it could be forwarded to
No,
us,
they come
'cause
on paper.
I don't get to see them.
Yeah, we can get you electronic copies, that's.
A PDF file would be wonderful.
Yeah, we can do that.
Thank you.
If you do have them, we'll make sure you get, send them maybe to Jamie and he can distribute it.
Yeah.
Do we need to vote to accept this policy as it exists?
If you're not changing it, then it stays the same. It stands as is.
I just have one question now. Some of the companies, the American companies or US companies we already invest in, they could already be doing international or global
Absolutely.
companies, correct?
Yes, it's, they're multinational, but basically the word.
So basically, we could already be in a company that has those international relations.
Right. Okay,
I'll
yes,
turn it over to
takes
Chris.
care of that. Thank you.
Thank you again for having me. This is my third time here. So as you may recall, Sovereign, during the performers, has a unique and disciplined philosophy that we've held true to for really almost 30 years now. And the idea is that we only buy companies that have consistently increased dividends over long periods of time. So the result is that you have a very high quality portfolio, typically a little more defensive than what you might find in the other portfolio. And then we think about it in terms of returns that are risk adjusted over time. The kind of characteristics that you find in our portfolio would be, as you probably know from my last time being in here, a long history of consistent growth in earnings and cash flow and dividends. Tend to be very predictable companies, tend to be very very strong within their markets. In many cases, are household names. Very strong balance sheets, high free cash flow, and typically very strong margins, and business models that would support that dividend growth that we believe over time provides great value. So right now, the portfolio is well diversified versus the market. As you might recall, this strategy does not take big bets in really any sector. We try to let the bottoms-up process of stock picking drive where we might have weights within the various sectors of the market. Just getting to kind of where we are today and what the portfolio has been, how the portfolio has been performing over the last year. Last quarter was quite good, better than the market, and over the past year, we were about in line with the market. And this was actually quite good given our strategy. Again, very conservative manager, high quality. And last year was a market that was very much defined by risk-taking. We mentioned interest rates as being a driver. Interest rates remained very low. So one of the best performing sectors last year was technology. And actually, the performance of technology was twice that of the overall market. To give you a sense of the risk-taking that was going on in the market. So our performance was very much driven by individual stock picks, which we're very proud of the team doing well last year in that environment. So to summarize, the portfolio is in good shape. The average yield is above that in the market. Net yield, the dividend yield is growing at 8% a year. Valuation today looks attractive. It's a little better than the market. Yet at the same time, we have earnings growth that's a little better than the market. So feeling pretty good about where we are today, and felt good about last year. So Mike asked me to talk a little bit about what's going on today, and it really has been quite interesting. But to some degree, it is really explainable and somewhat understandable. Through January through the 26th of January, the market went up almost 8%. So clearly a lot of exuberance out there, and as you can imagine, much of that driven by the tax cuts, driven by the fact that the government was advocating for companies to bring the cash that they had, so not brought back to the United States, to bring it back to the United States, and companies like Apple bringing back potentially $50 billion, and Cisco, I think, announced they were going to bring back a similar amount just yesterday. So the sort of the multiplier effect of all this cash going back and being reinvested, and you saw Walmart giving their employees bonuses, and AT&T giving bonuses. So a lot of exuberance around the potential impact of that and what it might do for earnings and economic growth. But what happened at the back end of the month is we began to see evidence of inflation. So you know, if you sort of go back for a minute and look at the drivers of the bull market, one has been the fact that the government has been determined to try to get the economy going by having low interest rates. And the term has been used as a zero interest rate policy. And so that has driven the valuation of the market beyond, say, what typical earnings growth of the company could give. So now, as you sort of revert that to, well, you know, now the government wants to kind of take the foot off the gas pedal a little bit. I wouldn't say they're trying to put the brakes on, but they're trying to take the punch bowl away. And now the market has to sort of think about that and discount that probability. You know, where are rates going? And it's also going to mean that, you know, typically in an environment when you have low interest rates, there's more risk-taking going on. Well, when rates are going up, people begin to think about the potential slowing and the damage that higher cost of money could be. So a lot of shifting that's going to go on, a lot of volatility. So we went from about 8% return in January, which if you kind of annualize that, you'd be up 100% through the whole year, which is not sustainable, to being down 3%. And like I said, we're up about 1% now. So I do think that volatility will continue in the market as we make this shift. But, you know, as Mike was saying, you know, we think of it as a glacial return to modest inflation, you know, rates going up and modestly. So I'm not concerned about the year. I think that we will have this, you know, positive from earnings growth driven by, you know, the tax cuts and just, you know, the economy, the companies doing better about the world. That should drive, you know, anywhere from 10 to 12% earnings growth, and I think the market should, you know, should respond in kind. But you won't have the driver of valuation on top of that, which is kind of what we had over the past years. So I think, you know, I have a conservative outlook, number one, and two, I think that you'll have a shifting of where people want to invest their money. You would think that in an environment that potentially could be, you know, dealing with the higher cost of money, the higher interest rates, would be more inclined to invest in conservative companies, you know, more consistent growers with the dividend yield growing. So we believe that shift will occur over time throughout the year. So just, I'm happy to take questions, but in summary, you know, we still feel positive about the year. Volatility is likely to continue until, you know, investors try to figure out where we're going. And we're not too concerned about the outlook for the company. It's still positive.
Questions? Okay, none for questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Good to see you, Mike.
Mr. Schrum?
Okay.
Gentlemen, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Start by introducing yourselves. There may be some folks that do not know you.
I'm Kevin Schrum. I'm the administrator of the Lebanon County Intellectual Disabilities Early Intervention Program.
I am Jim Donmoyer, Executive Director of Lebanon County Commission on Drug and Alcohol Abuse.
And we have one item to present together, and then I have some items that come from our agency only. First, we have what we would call amendment number 1 to our contract with excuse me, Perform Care. Perform Care is our managed care partner in the Health Choices program. Amendment number 1 collectively addresses all of the previous contract amendments we've had with the Commonwealth to update our Health Choices agreement with the Commonwealth. So Jim and I have been into several times over the prior, I think, 2 years to incorporate that the amendments to our agreement with the state, specifically around the program standards and requirements. And each time you approve those, this amendment here simply updates our agreement with Perform Care to address the issues in the state agreement. We did have a letter from our legal counsel, Lawrence Davis, who summarized and said essentially, if we want to participate in the Health Choices program, we certainly have to follow the program standards and requirements and agree to the amendment. I don't know if you want to add.
I think that really explained it very well. So we need to participate in that program, and we need to follow their rules and regulations and guidelines.
So you can choose not to sign it, and then you're out.
Exactly. It's bottom line.
Gotcha. Questions, commissioners? Right, then we'll need a motion to approve the amendment, is that correct?
I make a motion to approve amendment number 1 for Perform Care, which replaces amendments 9, 10, and 11.
Is that correct?
9, 10, 11 were to the agreement with the state. This is simply amendment number 1 to our agreement with Perform Care.
Oh, this one doesn't amend the state's contract then, so they will still exist.
Correct.
I misread
I'm sorry,
that.
I probably didn't explain well.
Okay, no, that's all right. Maybe I misunderstood what it said. It's okay. Then I rephrase my motion to accept amendment number 1 to Perform Care agreement.
I'll second the motion.
All right, I have a motion and a second to accept amendment number 1 to Perform Care. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Amendment is approved.
Thank you. We do have 2 copies of the signature pages.
Thank you.
And then beyond that, as you know, I come in a few times a year with amendments to our provider contracts. And since we were coming in for a couple of things, it seemed appropriate to bring in our fiscal year 17-18 contract amendments. We do have a total of 15 changes on our list of contracts. The summary of the changes is a financial number of $75,525. They're primarily to increase the number of units within a certain provider's allocation so that we can adequately serve someone who needs additional units. Excuse me. We did have one new provider, Living Unlimited, that was it's our consumers another option, and I believe one family had actually requested it. So that would be the one new provider that we have.
So,
Second motion.
I have a motion and a second to approve those contract amendments. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered.
Thank you very much, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll slide over to Dr. Yocum.
seems like you have a little bug there, maybe from where your recent travels took you.
In addition to the Lombardi Trophy, I picked up the flu.
And he might be willing to help you with the Frank Reich presentation.
That's right. We just adopted Frank Reich Day on Sunday in Lebanon County.
That's great.
Kevin was actually at the game, so that was quite historic.
And Coach Reich looked up and waved to me from
You personally, right?
All right. Good morning, Coroner Yocum.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for inviting me down.
Would you like your other associate to, we have, see, do you want to introduce?
The gentleman they're talking about is my son in the back row, Austin.
Is he a doctor?
Going to be one.
How many generations will that make?
3. Same spot.
Is he doing all right? He's gonna make it?
Way to go, guys. All right.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Thank you again for inviting me to our annual State of the Coroner's Office. Year 2017, every year seems to be getting busier. I'm going to go through my report, make a few comments, and then turn it over to Jim for the drug and alcohol, and Kevin for the suicides, and then we can open it up for discussion. This year we investigated a total of 212 natural deaths. That was an increase from 14 from last year. Cremations continue to be a huge part of our daily routine. We investigated 772 cremations. So that's an increase of 22 from last year. And that creates a huge burden on the staff because they're several per day. So in between doing everything else they're doing, they have to investigate those deaths.
Is that because of some of the fraudulent things that happen with cremations?
We do catch things that really have to be investigated because once they're cremated, it's over. There's no turning back. Accidental deaths, we had a total of 48 that we investigated. 27, that Jim will talk about, were drug-related. We had 14 motor vehicle accidents that we investigated. Now, those would be the ones that we pronounce here. Vehicle deaths that would occur when they're transported to Hershey are not part of our investigation. So those are only the vehicle deaths that we have that we pronounce in the county. 2 cases of asphyxiation. We had 1 drowning. We had 2 farm accidents. 1 fall. That was the case related to the gentleman who fell between Donmoyer and Annville into the quarry. And we had 1 accidental laceration. That was an individual who fell in the bathroom and struck her carotid artery with her wheelchair and died on the spot.
What were the farm accidents?
Farm accidents were 2 in the eastern part of the county, both younger, a teenager and I think a 3-year-old.
What, was it with equipment?
Equipment related, yeah. We had 2 homicides, that was a double homicide, both at the same time. And we have 4 pending cases that are still out from autopsies that results haven't been obtained yet. Suicides were a total of 18. Gunshots continue to be the leading cause of death, 13. We had 3 hangings, 1 wrist laceration, and 1 medication-related homicide. Suicide, sorry. The suicides are down from last year, down 2. They were 16 last year. And Jim will talk about it here shortly, but our deaths from overdoses have increased. They were 27 this year. They're up to 11 from last year. So I'm going to turn it over to it. And there's a reason for that increase that Jim will talk about.
Thank you. As Dr. Yocum indicated, in 2016, we had a total of 16 overdose deaths in the county. This past year, 2017, it increased to 27. Of the 27 individuals, the average age of those individuals was 37 years of age. It consisted of 18 males and 9 females. Out of those 27 people, only 9 were known to our office, had previous treatment or services through our office. Doesn't necessarily mean that they didn't have services elsewhere or under other funding streams. But that is a low number of people out of the 27 that we were only aware or had history with 9 of them. The breakdown, there was 18 Caucasian, 8 Hispanic, and 1 unknown. The thing about the 27, 21 of them occurred within the Lebanon, PA 17042 or 17046 zip code. Only 6 occurred outside of those areas. 1 in East Hanover Township, 1 in Campbelltown, 1 in Annville, 2 in Myerstown, and 2 in Donmoyer. So the majority of the overdose deaths occurred, again, in the Lebanon zip code areas. One of the things that we found in looking at the 27 cases, me and Dr. Yocum, out of the 27 cases, 21 of them involve the use of fentanyl, which is a huge concern. And that's something that people use to mix with the heroin. So the people that think they're getting heroin, they're getting all sorts of different things. What we're finding with these folks is the most consistent substance is fentanyl.
And fentanyl, when we usually come across fentanyl overdoses, a lot of times they still have the needle in their arm.
That's how fast.
That's how fast and quickly. Fentanyl is a substance we use, there are fentanyl patches we use for cancer pain, long-term pain treatment programs, and it's meant to be given over a 3-day period. So these people are injecting an amount in a short period of time, and so they die almost instantly. That's how fast they die. And most of the people, when they buy their heroin, they have no idea what's in it. So they buy it, and in regards, they have no idea what it is. And the other thing we find interesting, that most people just shake their heads and they can't believe it, we try not to release, when we find bags in the scene, we try not to release the names of the bags, the pictures that are on the bags, because when people find out there's a powerful substance on the street, they go looking for it. They want to try it. So.
Right.
Yeah.
So, do you have any data on how many Narcan saves there were? I don't know if you keep that or if EMS keeps that.
Something that EMS would be able to provide.
Okay.
It is of note that out of the 27 people, 4 of the people had Narcan in their seats.
4. So,
which means someone tried to revive them, save them.
And it was recent, right? It would have been recent. It's still in the system.
So when he did the toxicology, naloxone showed up in 4 individuals' streams.
So does that mean that someone attempted to revive them on that occasion or previous to that?
Previous,
okay.
or at that occasion.
Okay, either one, you're not sure.
Either.
How long can it stay in the system?
Not long, but if it's at the scene and the ambulance crews try to use Narcan, that will show up when I do my toxicology. Another thing to bring up, recently did an interview, there's controversy between the counties and county coroners about what they're doing to try to prosecute, cases of people who deliver of a substance resulting in death. And our office, and every coroner is different, every coroner runs their office differently. But our office, we do a toxicology on every overdose case. We work hand in hand with the district attorney's office, local police departments. If I give them several days, if they can come up with who they think delivered the substance, then we proceed to an autopsy. I do not autopsy every overdose case. Some counties autopsy every overdose case. The expense of that would be exorbitant. And autopsy every case, I have my diagnosis. When I do the toxicology, I have my diagnosis. Now I'm just waiting for the police department to say, hey, doc, we think we can prosecute a case. Then we proceed on to the autopsy, because to go to court without an autopsy today doesn't do you any good. So I do not autopsy every overdose case, but I do a toxicology on every overdose case.
Second part to my Narcan question is, does fentanyl make a difference in the effectiveness of Narcan or not?
If somebody's using fentanyl, it probably would take several Narcan doses to bring them around. When I'm taking several, probably 4 or 5 doses of Narcan just to bring them around, depending on when they find them. Most of the time, they're dead when they get there. So they would have to really be almost at the scene, respond to the scene when they were.
That's incredible. Thank you.
Move on to suicide?
Suicide?
Okay.
We can come back to that.
Again, as Dr. Yocum said, we had 18 suicides in 2017. Just, I think, to clarify, this is a reduction from 2016 when we had 20 suicides. We had gone down to 18, which is of course, 10% reduction. We're very pleased to see a reduction when most counties are seeing significant increases. Looking at the demographics of those folks, as Dr. Yocum pointed out, 72% were by firearm, 16 and 17% by hanging, almost 6% by pills, and almost 6% of an individual that slit their wrist. Looking at the average age, it's about 50.1 years. Majority males, 17 out of the 18, or 95% are males. And the ethnicity is 15 individuals, or 83% are white. Hispanics account for almost 17%, with a total number of 3. Interestingly, none of these 18 individuals was known to our agency, had never gotten services through our office before. That does not mean that they didn't get the services elsewhere. Similar to Jim's issue, people may be getting services through their private insurance or whatever, but none of them were in our office, although 44% of them were known to have some mental health symptoms or conditions prior to that. Looking at other numbers related to them, the oldest, excuse me again, the oldest was 86 years of age, and the youngest was 15 years of age. There's always a strong reaction by our office and the Suicide Prevention Task Force with the young individual. About 1/5 of them, 22%, were known to have a prior drug and alcohol history as well. And in terms of their relationships, almost 17% were never married, almost 17% were divorced, 11% were widowed, and about 28% were married, and about 6% had a significant other, and we don't know about 22% of them. So, I mean, thank you, a significant number of the individuals were not in a relationship at the time. This year we looked a little bit further, and we looked at where their residence was, just so we get a little bit like the DNA folks. We found seven individuals lived in Lebanon, 2 in Homebuyer, 2 in Annville, 1 in Jonestown, 1 in Fredericksburg, 1 in Myerstown, and 1 from Newmanstown. And 3 of them were not county residents, lived either in another county or another state. That's our summary for 2017. As I said, it was a reduction for 2016 by 2. I don't know if there's any questions.
Any questions?
Yeah. Did you say, what % of the suicides were male?
They were 17 out of the 18. That's almost 95%.
Yeah, right. What do you attribute that to?
We don't know the answer to that. We've struggled with that for a number of years. We don't know if men do not like to talk about or deal with their mental health issues or the stressors in their lives. We don't know if women are more frightened to take their own life. We don't know the reason for that. There may be something on a national level that might explain that, but that's troubling to us. But we don't know the answer.
Well, from someone that's married 55 years, maybe it's just because males have to live with females. Anyway, that's my question. I do have a question then for Yocum, if it's open. You said natural deaths, 212. Am I right?
Right.
Okay. Can you tell me, out of that 212, how many were over the age of 80?
I can't tell you.
You can't. But in the same sense, you could sit there and tell me in absolute detail about the drug addicts, how old they were, where they lived, this, that, and everything. but we don't know how many were over 80 from a natural death, right? Okay, that's what I wanted to know. But I just proved my point. I made my point. We're going with the meeting. I made my own point.
Any other questions for the coroner and his, yes, Gordon?
There is a corporation called Opium Pharmaceuticals that apparently has come out with, they're the makers of naloxone, Narcan. But there was some buzz in the Patriot and some previous reports dating back to October that they had a vaccine, an injectable vaccine that they had not, they're just entering pre-trials. Have you heard anything about this vaccine at all? And I guess you try to offer whatever hope you can to those folks, but pre-trials when you're dealing with the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, could be years and years and years away. So is this something you've heard of?
I personally have not heard of it.
No, and here again, it hasn't even entered trials yet, so you really won't hear about that till, it enters trials.
Anyone else?
I could give a brief update on 2018 suicides at this point.
Oh, okay.
Would like that. Dr. Yocum and I were stunned, but there have been 4 suicides for 2018 already, 3 of them coming during the first week of the new year. So that was very troubling for us. Things have slowed down. We're in mid-February at this point, and we've only had one since that first week in January. So that was obviously a major concern for us looking ahead for 2020.
The gender statistics hold up there as well?
We had, looking for my summary. We had 3 males and 1 female. And certainly the age range is very spread out. We have the oldest being 87 and the youngest being 12. So that was a huge concern for us as well.
Question. And you said that was in the first week of January? You had 3 of them?
Yes.
Okay. Now you're trying to figure out why people commit suicide, right? First week of January in this valley, it was bitter cold, nasty, ugly, right? Does the weather have something to do with it? Yes. Scandinavian countries, wintertime, because it's cold, dark, they have a very high instance of suicide, correct?
I don't.
Oh, well, I do know. I read up on it.
Okay.
Kinda, just in reading. But, I mean, they're looking for a solution or what's causing it. Weather might have something to do with it. People get depressed.
Well, I know a lot of people are affected by seasonal affective disorder, which,
Yeah.
again, the lack of light, cold weather and stuff has a strong impact on a number of people.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying. Okay.
All right. Anything else? Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
Part of history, Kevin.
It's pretty significant.
I know.
To answer your question, Gord, yes, you are correct. Good.
Thanks to Christine, I'm not coughing as much as I have. You gave me some of those, a couple of lozenges. She said that you did.
Yes, you did.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Beth, here with the Lebanon County Conservation District. And on behalf of the Lebanon County Agricultural Land Preservation Board, I respectfully request your approval for the county to purchase the conservation easement rights for the following farm. The owner is Daryl L. Alger. The property is located at 770 Mount Pleasant Road. The farm is enrolled in the Ag Security Area for South Annville Township, and the easement acreage is 51.68 surveyed acres. This is a $1 bargain sale, which in essence means he is donating the entire farm's easement. The total county expense for this farm is $1 for the easement purchase and $3,000 towards the incidental costs of the appraisal, legal fees, and neighbor notifications. The remaining $10,127.46 of incidental costs will be covered by the program's state grant funds. 100% of the soils available for agricultural production on this farm are in capability classes 1 through 4. A minimum of 50% is required. Approximately 95% of the property is used for cropland, pasture, or grazing land. A minimum of 50% is required. This farm is adjacent to the preserved farms of Henry Berger, Curtis and Dorothy Martin, Sharon Wampler, Ivan and Gloria Burkholder, and Ronald and Brenda Copenhaver. As of December 2017, the state, county, and local governments have invested over $1.5 billion to preserve 547,336 acres on 5,074 farms in 59 counties for future agricultural production. Thank you for your part in this success.
Okay,
Question,
yes.
where's that located? I mean, you give me, you're telling me here and there, but tell me where it's physically located.
It's in the southern half of the county.
Don't help.
I think it's on the west side of 934 from what I'm hearing from some.
Okay, it's on the west side of 934 between there and Mount Pleasant Road.
Yeah,
Mount
it
Pleasant
fronts on
Road's in
Mount
here.
Pleasant Road, it sounds.
Huh?
It sounds like it fronts on Mount Pleasant Road. She did say that part.
Is there buildings on it?
I believe so, yes.
I know where the Copenhaver farm is on Mount Pleasant Road, so that's just to the west.
Whose farm was this before, do you know?
I'm not sure.
So does it run from 934 all the way over to Mount Pleasant Road?
It's contiguous to, oh, there you go.
Can I see a map?
I have the topographic map here.
Beth, while he's looking at that, did you have any notices from neighbors or anything having advertised it? No comments or, okay.
Could you please give us an update on total acreage and numbers of farms in Lebanon County, please?
Since 1990, 18,445.92 acres have been preserved, and it's 207 farms.
207 farms. Some of those are multiple farms with one person, like side by side or something, because it used to be like 160 farms.
It says 163 agricultural conservation easements.
Okay. And what is the 207?
Farms or parcels, so that.
Easement might include more than one farm.
Got it.
It says that's approximately 7.9% of the total land area in the county.
Thank you. Say that percent again?
7.9.
7.9%.
So we're still number one in the state in our class size, I would think.
Mark, did you have any?
Yeah, there was a figure you mentioned in there, 10,000 some dollars? And what's that for?
It says incidental costs.
Incidental cost. And who covers that cost?
The program state grant fund.
A grant?
Yeah.
I got it. Where's that grant come from?
The taxpayers.
Taxpayers. That's what I wanted to get into, taxpayers. We'll get back to that. Daryl Alger. Same Daryl Alger that owns Mark Hershey Farms. Right. Okay, that's what I want to know. Okay, I have one more statement.
It's a donated easement.
He donated the easement, but still we got $10,000 out there, somebody got to cover, the taxpayers got to cover, right? And, okay. I'd like it put on the public record that once again, I, Martin Brundick, lifelong resident of Lebanon County and taxpayer, am protesting the buying up of farms and any incidental costs with taxpayer money. I'd like that put on the record if I could, as usual. Thank you.
Okay.
I told you we were gonna have fun, didn't I?
Any other questions or comments, commissioners?
Yes.
We need a motion then to approve the purchase of the easement for $1. Correct.
So moved.
Second?
All right, I have a motion and a second to approve the purchase of the parcel, Daryl Alger parcel for $1. All those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered, Beth, thank you.
Thank you.
Tell everyone at the Conservation District I said hello.
I do have a question. Is Angie no longer there?
She is. She's at a state Farmland graduation.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Mrs. Lutz, before you leave, we talked out there. I'd be glad to come out to the fairgrounds someday and sit down and tell you all about farm preservation from the other side, okay?
All right, so we already did the Board of Elections and so on. I'll go to Mr. Lyons, and Betsy's here as well, Betsy Verna.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
Okay.
Good morning.
So you two aren't going to sit together tonight?
I can, yeah, sure.
It's easier for us. No, I'm with already.
Okay. That's weird. Set some paperwork to distribute here real quick, if I may.
You already got it. You're sitting next to him.
Just discovered that. Nothing against, personally against you, Corey, you know that, but I'm going over here.
That's fine, Martin. Don't come a calling.
Thank you. Okay. All right, good. Want to just introduce yourselves in case some folks do not know who you are.
Betsy Bowman, Redevelopment Authority.
Dan Lyons, Redevelopment Authority.
And we have with us from the City of Lebanon to show their support for the application, Melissa Jimenez and Janelle, I almost called you Jennifer, sorry, Janelle Mendoff. Okay, we're here today to ask the approval from the commissioners to submit an application for DCED's home funds. And the home funds are the primary provider of assistance for first-time homebuyer activities as well as housing rehab activities. So it's not unusual for us to come here. We've been doing it probably for 20 to 25 years, combined between the city and county. I think they received $8 million in funding from that program. What's a little unusual is that this application would be submitted by the county and would include the city of Lebanon. Prior to this, the city has submitted their own application for this funding. We spoke with DCED, and they like the idea of one application, one agreement, one monitoring responsibility, one administrator. So they were supportive of the idea of one application. And what they would require of the city would be that there would be a cooperation agreement between the city and the county. Even though the county is taking on that role, we would be asking the city to do some of the marketing of the program, making referrals, that type of thing. So, but truly the program is the county's program. So that's really my introduction to it, and Dan has a few of the details to provide.
Sure. We will be applying, we would like to apply for $600,000 in home funds. We're also asking the commissioners to provide $100,000 in Act 137 funding as a match. We estimate that we will be able to assist with those two funding streams if awarded between 30 and 35 first-time home buyers over a 2 or 3 year period. We will be making the first-time home buyer programs uniform between the county and the city. We will be making some minor changes to the program to make it more attractive and to increase participation. Most notably, we are proposing increasing the amount of rehab assistance that is provided to each home buyer from $5,000 to $7,000. We are proposing to fund the rehab component, the first $5,000 out of the home grant, which would be forgiven, and then if the repairs exceed $5,000, up to an additional $2,000 out of the Act 137 money, which would be recorded as a deferred loan returned to the program upon resale of the property. As Betsy mentioned, one new component in the application cycle this time was a required phone call with DCD in advance to discuss the application. That's when we had their encouragement to apply together, include the city, have a cooperation agreement, and one thing that they stressed was, one thing that they encouraged us to do is with the rehab funding that will be provided out of the home grant is to make that basically a grant to the homeowner, so that it will be forgiven immediately. And then we would instead record any Act 137 assistance that would go to that property for rehab as a deferred loan. We did send you a memo last week. I have it here again today. It contains some of the details. If there's anything you'd like me to elaborate on, I'm happy to do so. But really what we're asking is a resolution to authorize the submission of the application and to authorize Chairman Ames to sign documents related to the application, which there will be a few, as well as the cooperation agreement between the county and the city. And then, of course, the formal Act 137 request. And I neglected to say, in the phone call with DCD, they stressed that it's important in their eyes that there be some local match to the grant funds. And that's why the county does have a history of supporting the home applications with Act 137, but now more than ever, we think that that is a make or break piece of this application.
Question. I hear that the city will be doing some marketing and referrals. Do they also have a financial interest in, like we're asked to put up $100,000, do they put up any cash, or are we absorbing their contribution?
Well, part of the 100,000 would come from the sale of city properties.
But that's not the question. In the past, the city had to pay to have the application submitted. Is there still financial?
Well, in the past, the city, when we would file a home application, we would come to the county and also ask for affordable housing funds to be the match. Because a lot of the affordable housing funds do come from city properties also that are sold, that are transferred there in the 3/4 deeds. So in the past, you always matched our home grants with that.
Okay, so the city never put any money into completing the application?
To complete?
The city didn't have any general fund match to it.
No.
Okay.
Not in the past.
That answers my question. Thank you.
Sure.
I'll move to approve based on what Daniel has presented.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second to
Just make it clear, you're acting on a couple of things here. You're acting on the resolution first to apply. That's probably your first action.
It's not a sweeping motion.
Well, the Act 137 on the city
separate motion for the funding.
Okay.
All right, then I have a motion and a second to make application to the home program in the amount of $600,000. Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now we need a
Then I think
motion.
I move to use the Act 137 funds, $100,000, to make this happen.
Second motion.
I have a motion and a second to use $100,000 from the Act 137 fund to, I guess, to sweeten the pot, right? All those in favor of the motion as read, as presented, indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Melissa, thanks for clarifying
Oh,
that.
you're
It was the
welcome.
only question I had when I reviewed everything. I'm like, I didn't quite
Yeah.
get my hand around that.
Okay, all right.
I didn't have it in my packet here, but okay, that's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Well, good morning, Jonathan.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to come in. Just a quick bit of your time. My name is John Fitzke. I'm with the Lebanon County Planning Department. This morning I have two resolutions for your consideration that we need. The first is in regards to the county and by the Planning Department to obtain access to Pennsylvania's crash information tool. This is something that PennDOT has recently put together and has allowed planning partners and county planning entities to be able to get access to information that relates to safety data that is collected, through accidents that are reported through the state police reportables. Gives us another ability to access information and utilize that when we're doing our evaluations with intersection improvements and other activities that we're involved in. So it's more or less a requirement of that process that we have to get our governing bodies to approve our ability to move ahead and request that access on behalf of the county.
And it's not at a cost to us, is that right?
No, all
It's
this
available
information
to
is
us.
essentially free for us. We've put together our necessary requirements designating the people who will have access from our office, which will include myself, Song Kim, and Jamie George have access to this.
Questions before we do the motion? May I have a motion then to allow the planning department to move forward with access to that program? So
Second?
a motion and a second to move forward with the, what is it, entitled, the access?
Pennsylvania Crash Information Tool.
Implementation tool. Okay. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? So ordered.
The other item I have is regarding moving forward with execution of a reimbursement agreement that will be for LDRT Phase 9B. This section is located approximately south of Jonestown, with the iron bridges across the Swati. It would be about 1,700 feet going into Bunker Hill. That would be to extend its mid-deck bridge. This project was one that we received $575,000 in transportation program funding for. So this resolution will go along with our other materials that we would need to execute in order to get that reimbursement agreement in the process.
Now, will this then deck the whole bridge, or is this still only half of it?
No, this would be the entire bridge.
Entire
So now that
bridge.
we have the trail to the bridge, we need to do the decking and then the extension of the trail, trying to bring it into
So
Bunker
this
Hill.
is to deck the whole thing?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. I also move to support the Phase 9B reimbursement south of Jonestown on the rail trail.
Second. I have a motion and a second for Phase 9B of the rail trail project. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered.
Question.
Yes.
9B, you're going across a bridge north to south. You get on the south side. Does it stop there? Right in the other side of the bridge?
No, there will be about 1,700 feet, I believe, that goes south.
Further south. Does that go all the way to Thompson Avenue?
I'd have to look at the exact plan, Marty. If I go back and look, I'm trying to remember. I know we had some negotiations with LVRT on one of the property owners. I can't remember if it gets you right to the roadway. I'd have to confirm that for you.
All right.
But I know this section, the reason it was divvied up into multiple phases is primarily because of just the way in which we could tackle each one. You have Phase 9A that goes north of Market Street that we're trying to get up to 22, and then you're having the section that goes from Market Street down that's been established.
Okay, but do you have the right of way, if you're gonna reconstruct that bridge, put a decking on it? Do you have a right-of-way to come in from Thompson Avenue to the bridge, north from Thompson to the bridge? You do have a right-of-way, complete total right-of-way.
Yeah, and one of the things that we did originally when the bridge was removed from 72, there was a culvert that was established as part of that project to leave access under 72 available for us to move that direction. I don't know if you're familiar.
Well, wait a minute. Run that past me again.
There was a culvert that was established when the bridge at Bunker Hill was removed.
Yeah, I know all about it.
And that one of those things was done in order to at least maintain an access under Route 72 in the event that.
That's looking into the future.
Yeah.
That's phase what?
Well, that phase would fall probably within phase 8, as we have it currently designated. I have a map if you'd like to see it.
Phase 8, geographically, from where to where?
Right now, that section goes from Bunker Hill Road down to where the present section would be at Long Lane. If we extend the Miley property up, that would be phase 7.
Yeah. No, wait a minute.
To Long Lane is, from Union Canal to Long Lane is 7. From Long Lane to Bunker Hill is 8. From Bunker Hill to the bridge is 9B. From the bridge to Market is 9A.
Okay, it goes from Long Lane, from Long Lane to Bunker Hill.
Right.
Is phase what?
8.
8. Where in Bunker Hill? Because there's an old Bunker Hill and a new Bunker Hill. Did you know that?
Well, probably the Thompson.
Where in Bunker Hill?
You mean what, for what?
If it goes from Long Lane north, where does it stop in Bunker Hill?
Well,
At Thompson Avenue.
Well, right now, I think that section, when we did our Northern Trail feasibility study, we looked at where the opportunity was to close gaps. We start with establishing one in Jonestown that would be a standalone trail. Closing that gap from 7 to 8, at this point, I can't
there's
tell you
an
the
easement
exact
there, yeah.
route.
Because from 7 to 8, from Long Lane north, that's kind of off the radar right now.
Yeah, right now, that was a phase that, based on our feedback that we had when we did that study, was one that is gonna take a lot more evaluation.
Because people are gonna, that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
People are gonna wanna know from me what's going on in there.
There's nothing in place between for 8. There's no
Okay.
easement that's been acquired
Right,
for.
but let's
8.
go way back, a couple of years. Scenario. Years ago, I would come to a meeting, and let's take imaginary numbers. You would be working on, let's say, phase 3, right? And these are imaginary numbers. I would ask you, what about phase 5? We don't know nothing about it. We're not looking at it, blah, 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 right? 6 months later, when I would come to a meeting, I'd say, what are we doing on that phase 5? Oh, that's all settled. That's done. We have all the paperwork done, all the grants, everything. All of a sudden, it was done. How come so quick? You know what I mean? At one meeting, we weren't even looking at it. Next meeting, it's already done, except that, of course, the physical work on it. That's what I'm afraid is going to happen here. That's what I know it's going to happen here.
Well, I guess the thing to remember, Marty, is that typically there are a lot of discussions we're having with the property owners and trying to clear rights of way. And at some point, we have to decide when we're looking at a grant submission as to what the limits of that phase is going to be. And that's part of the reason why the 9 phase has changed with additional pieces like 9A, 9B. Other places we do have, like Mr. Light's property for phase 10, we do have that ability, we do have that right of way, but we have to decide how are we going to partition that thing out and deliver it, because it's going to be a significant improvement, and we may not be able to do it at just phase 10 as it exists right now. It may be a phase 10A.
But right now, as far as easements, whatever, getting through, the probably most difficult place for you people to get through is between Long Lane and Thompson Avenue, correct? Because most of the property owners do not want anything to do with a railroad trail.
Well, but and I think in the Northern Trail feasibility study that we did, a lot of people assumed that we would be using the existing rail bed the whole way up, and I don't think that's the intention. Certainly, the trail's alignment may not always follow the rail bed as we get further north. We're going to have to work with people to figure out what that route's going to look like.
But that is your ultimate goal, though, is to get the rails to trails from the city of Lebanon to the Blue Mountain on the old railroad bed, true or false?
Well, wherever we can utilize the old railroad bed. But it may not be possible to utilize the railroad bed, because if you go north along 72, there are places where, since the railroad's been abandoned and defunct, people have sheds and other things that we can't do. So
Exactly
we're gonna
right.
work around. Yeah, and we don't know that yet.
I mean, I think it's well known that people have utilized some of that property. What's not known is point A to point B. Well, the overall point A to point B you've already mentioned, yes, it's going all the way to Swatara State Park, but that part in between is not known.
And while we're on the subject, nothing has happened yet with the Malley deal. Or are we gonna get to that? Or
Well,
what?
not today, we're not, but we'd hope to today, but I'm anticipating we'll have something on the agenda for the next meeting.
For the next meeting?
Yeah.
On the Malley, that situation, okay. Hey, that was my questions.
Good questions. Anything else? We did vote on the motion, right?
Yes.
Thank you, Dylan.
Oh, I already got something, okay. Yeah, actually, I'm good.
You just need one original of each?
Well, I just want to make sure.
I have both, yes. I'm good.
Thanks, sir.
Okay. In case you get your tickets with them.
See, we're friends.
Good meeting. First time, right? Yeah.
Good morning.
Okay.
You're wearing a lot of hats today.
Okay. Who's handling the introductions?
My name's Janelle Goucher, I'm the QIUT at the Renova Center.
Marion Hatcher, ASCAP.
And I'm Kevin Schrum, Administrator of the Mental Health and Intellectual Disability Early Intervention Program.
Yes, you are.
Still the same role.
Yeah, Kevin's joining them today because he's being one of the referring agencies for the residents at the Renova Center. Those are interested in that too. They has a lot of experience with the agency too, so.
Janelle, you want to take the lead here?
I think Mary Ann's going to.
Mary Ann? Sorry.
I'm Pat, no, that's okay. I'm passing it to her.
We put her in the middle, no? Well, in the absence of Roman, I have a statement to read. So I can explain everything. Renova Center is recommending that the program reduce its certified capacity from 25 beds to 24 beds. Regarding this, I have a statement to read on behalf of Roman J., Administrator of Renova Center. The Renova Center is certified as a 25-bed intermediate care facility for individuals with intellectual disabilities. We serve individuals who have severe, profound, moderate intellectual functioning and require assistance in personal care needs such as bathing, feeding, toileting, and dressing. Most are nonverbal and non-ambulatory. The state regulations that govern the ICFID programs require that a facility maintain a minimum average rate of occupancy at 98%. And if a waiver of this regulation is not approved, a reduction to reimbursable costs is calculated at time of audit. Renova Center has been unable to maintain the required 98% occupancy rate for several years. Occupancy rates since 2009 have ranged from a high of 96% to a low of 82%. 7 months into this fiscal year, the rate is 81.28%. As of today, Renova is serving 20 individuals, leaving 5 vacant beds. While Renova has admitted several new residents in recent years, there have also been deaths. Additionally, many of the referrals that Renova Center receives are for individuals for which we are unable to adequately meet their needs, such as individuals with severe behavioral needs, or individuals who are too medically complex for our program. In addition, it is important to note that advances in technology and an increased emphasis and availability of new programs and services over the years has enabled family members to provide the care and assistance necessary to keep their loved ones in the home setting for a longer period of time.
The state regulations also allow for a waiver of the minimum occupancy requirement. However, to be eligible for the waiver, a program must be less than 16 beds or increasing or decreasing its certified capacity. By reducing the capacity by 1 bed, we think this will allow Renova Center to be eligible for the waiver of the regulation and thus avoid a disallowance at time of audit. It is also our understanding from the state that Renova Center will be able to increase its certified capacity by up to 2 beds if and when the need arises. If approved by the commissioners, the next step would be that a letter of request will be submitted to the Department of Health for their approval, in which case it would be effective during the current fiscal year.
And as you know, we've had a couple of workshops on this, where Mary Ann's been in and Roman's been in, and questions have been asked. Mary Ann would seek the answers back and forth. So we started this conversation, I think, in September of last year.
So what we're looking for is a motion to authorize Roman and Mary Ann to move forward with the decertification of 1 bed at Renova Center.
So move.
I'll second.
All right. Is there any, I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
No.
I just wanted to say thank you for your diligence. This is a very sensitive issue, but the fact that the state is willing and to allow us to increase by more beds if we have the demand for those residents is what swayed me, quite frankly, because I think that as commissioners, part of our duty is to take care of those who can't take care of themselves. So this makes the decision easier for me, and I want to thank you again for following through, Mary Ann, and getting the state to put that in writing. Thank you.
I really see no downside to this. There's $100,000 at stake. That's a big number, and the fact that we're so far away from being at full occupancy, even after we've liberalized the application process to try to enhance that percentage. So we've done, and that's probably 5 years ago we did that. But it's, and a large number of our residents are from out of county. But, you know, we still couldn't get the number up to where we need. So this is a good remedy, and the downside is very, you know, I don't see any downside at all relative to it. So, very good, thank you.
Kevin, did you want to comment at all?
Always what my first concern is what's best for the people that we serve.
Right.
And Renova has always done a great job of serving individuals with significant needs. So that's not a question in my mind. And then I know the finances of Renova have been really in a difficult situation for a number of years. And the work with Mary Ann really has fixed that. It really has. And, you know, the reality is, you know, today, more and more people live in the community than they do in somewhat of an institutional setting because there's more and more supports out there that didn't exist many years ago. So it seems to be a natural evolution that, you know, the number of people going into a facility like Renova would decrease over a period of years. So it does make sense to me to reduce the number of beds by 1 because, as Commissioner Cooner said, it's a significant amount of money that's involved, and it seems like there's no downside because if we need to increase it again, it can be increased in the future.
Thank you for your input. Appreciate it. All right. Motion to, have the motion, you just need to vote. All those in favor of the motion to decertify 1 bed at Renova Center indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? So done.
Thanks for
Thank
your
you very much for coming
hard
in
work. Appreciate it.
and working us through this.
Thank you for that support.
Certainly not least.
30 seconds or less.
We're almost there.
Make it happen.
What's your new acronym?
LCDS.
LCDS.
You know, one of the documents I read today did not have that upgraded. Which one were you mentioning?
Probably the cover letter.
No, it was in addition to that. There was something else we asked today that it wasn't updated.
I'm not as concerned with this.
I'll have to figure that out and get back to you. But I read it and I was like, oh, that hasn't been corrected.
Right.
Maybe on the quotes for this, is it all part of this quote presented?
I will take a look.
I don't know. I think we should move forward.
First off,
Yeah,
a
yeah,
lot
the
of-
quote, but, I'm sorry, it may have been the quotes, it's on that, it's on the service quotation from the equipment company. EMA has that, those were.
It was actually some sort of a document we were submitting, and that's why I thought it should be corrected.
Okay, research will find out. Bob Dowd, Director of the Lebanon County Department of Emergency Services.
Gary Verna, Chief of Lebanon County Housing.
And we are here this morning seeking permission to apply for a $10,000 grant through Williams as part of the Atlantic Sunrise project. This is the third time we've applied for this grant. We've received it one time. It's a community-based grant to benefit a community project. I'll let Gary elaborate on details.
What I want to replace is our AP 2000 meter, which detects chemical warfare agents, is out of, or is at end of life, according to the manufacturer. I would like to replace it with an LCD 3.3, which is just a fancy name for this meter. The thing about this meter, it does more than just the CWAs. It also does toxic industrial chemicals, which would be an everyday use thing for us, or every call use thing, meter for us when we're out on Act 165 instances. It is pricey, thus why I want to apply for this Atlantic Sunrise grant for $10,000 at that cost.
What is the total cost?
$10,500. Oh, I have a quote. I'm sorry. I have a quote for $9,450.
And then
That's
some
with
training.
10% off. The training, it includes the training with the meter, specific meter.
Okay, I'll make a motion to purchase the meter.
No, motion just to apply for the grant, Williams Sunrise.
Well, yes, okay, that's what, purchase the meter with the grant if we are awarded the grant.
The motion is to allow them to apply for the grant. If they get the grant, that's when they'll be purchasing.
Correct.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to move forward with the Williams Sunrise grant for $10,000. All those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Move forward.
Thank you.
Good luck.
And I did find where it's in, on page 5 of the Metropolitan Planning Organization, under U, it has Lebanon EMA. So before that gets submitted, that should be upgraded.
Okay.
Well, that came from the planning department. so, yeah.
Just, he should be aware of it.
Thank you.
All right, anything else, Jamie? All right, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. Would you like to make it, Gordon?
I will.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Signatures.